Hey, everybody, welcome to Breakfast All Day. Christy and Alonso. Matt has not had the pleasure of seeing the new M. Night Shyamalan film, Old, but Christy and I have, and Christy's going to tell you some non-spoilery things about it.
Because, of course, there are things that are spoilery because it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. And
he doesn't always twist again like he did last summer, but he does this time.
I mean, the vast majority of the time, right?
Yeah,
but I
I
would argue that this is one of the more effective ones in recent years of his twisty movies. So Vicky Krieps and Gael Garcia Bernal are a husband and wife. They go to this very fancy luxury tropical resort with their young son and daughter. The daughter is about 11, the son's about 6. And every whim is met from the moment that they set foot out of the van, and Francesca Eastwood is holding up a tray with drinks that have been designed especially for them. And the guy who runs the place tells them there's this secret cove. We don't tell everyone about it, only certain guests. And it's away from all the tourists. It's beautiful. You'll love it. We'll send you in a van. We'll pack you a lunch. Come back whenever you want. It's paradise. We'll be so happy. So, of course, they jump at the chance. It sounds magical. And a couple other families do too, including Rufus, Sewell, and Abbey Lee. And they all get there. And when they get there, they find it is perhaps not as magical as they thought it was going to be. That's all I will say about that. I'm going to try really hard to explain to you what this is about without telling you anything. You know, from the ads and from the trailers and just from the signature image on the posters that there's something that happens on this beach that makes you age really rapidly, and they don't know what it is. And so the bulk of it is figuring out how to get off this beach. They keep trying to get off the beach and they keep not being able to, and figuring out what it is that's making them all age, and how it's like this crucible of their true human natures once shit starts getting real. It has style forever. It's his usual cinematographer. I think it's Mike Giulakis, I want to say is his name. It's his usual DP. And so it's got really cool camera work, which depending on your perspective is either showy and obnoxious and distracting, or like showy and impressive and a nice addition to the overall mood of tension. It's very clever visually, especially given
Mike Giulakis,
who also shot like Split. He's shot a lot of his recent films, and so it's really cool looking, and it's a great cast, and different actors end up showing up to play these characters, especially the younger characters as they get older. So like Thomasin McKenzie eventually shows up.
Alex Wolff
shows up.
Alex Wolff week.
It is Alex Wolff week on Breakfast All Day, as you will see later on here. So I was with it for a while. And I thought the style and just the quality of the cast, Pierre, who is so great in the Underground Railroad, is really good here as this rapper who is like the first guy on the island. And when you learn more about him, he gets more interesting. But when they explain what's really happening, and then they explain it, and then they explain it again, I didn't need that. The tantalizing nature of the mystery and just the horror film element of either your fear of growing up and getting older and dying, or the longing you have when you're a kid to be older, that anxiety too. Those are interesting ideas to explore. And then once they explain what's really happening here, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, there are interesting ideas to explore for sure. And the movie feints at them every so often. But in like the writing here beyond the concept in itself, which is interesting, is so terrible. Like it's the kind of movie where like they make the part of the kid's personality is that he asks people, "What's your name and what do you do?" Which is like the most awkward form of exposition ever, because everybody has to constantly introduce themselves and say what their job is. And then as if we hadn't already gotten it, people then announce what their job is when they're trying to figure out, like Vicky Krieps' character is a museum curator. And so when they come across like a skeleton, she's like, well, it just like everybody's constantly giving their credentials in this movie, and it's exasperating. The ending is ridiculous, but the beginning and the middle are ridiculous also. I was willing to buy the conceit of this film, but it's so ham-fistedly handled, and they do so little with the premise besides sort of like remind you what the premise is, that you're just like, okay, can we just get to where this all gets explained? And then when they explain, you're like, oh, okay, I'm sorry I asked for that, because now it's even worse. I think that if you lopped the last 10 minutes off of most M. Night Shyamalan films, they would be European. But he feels the need to like tie every bow for you, and it's like, I wish you wouldn't, because those are dumb bows.
He double knots them.
Yes, exactly. You cannot get rid of them. Yeah, I just was not into this at all. The performances are interesting. I think it is a terrific cast. Kathleen Chalfant as this gets a nothing role as like the grandmother who tags along, and she's like this legend of the stage. And I saw her in Angels in America. Yeah, yes, this movie looks great, and it's well cast, but God, I know it's the knee-jerk thing to say like this would have been an okay half-hour Twilight Zone episode, but I really started thinking like, what if Shyamalan, instead of Jordan Peele, had just rebooted the Twilight Zone? Would he have gotten these gimmicky stories out of his system and then like actually devoted his films to trying to like have narratives that held up over the course of 90 minutes? Because yeah, I just was exasperated by this.
I mean, yeah, they do stand around and they explain themselves to each other. And I wonder whether like, is the stilted nature of their dialogue meant to put you on edge? Like, is that a feature and not a bug? Or is it just that the writing is bad? It's based on a graphic novel.
Yeah, French graphic novel. Yeah, which apparently has a grimmer ending, from what I'm told. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think if you want to do dialogue like that is sort of stylized to be exasperating, then they're not doing it well enough. It's just garden variety, not good.
And he's in it. M. Night Shyamalan is in it. I mean, he's always in it. It's his Hitchcockian homage to himself. But he's in it much more in this one. Like, he has a much more active role. I can't recall who wrote this in their review, but like, it's as if he is, a director placing his players on stage. Yeah,
there is a meta quality to his cameo here, which I guess is what the appeal was for him. He's not like achingly bad as an actor, but I just, by that point of the movie, I was out of this, even without him showing up on screen.
Right. He has to be explaining everything. Yeah. So, and when they do explain what's happening, I mean, like, does it make sense? It kind of raises more questions than it answers.
Kind of. And then beyond that, when they get to the resolution of everything, it's like, well, then no, call me a cynic. I don't buy that it would resolve in this way. I would think that the powerful forces behind things would not allow it to be so easily undone. That's what I'll say.
That's a good way to phrase that. Anyway, I found it enjoyably nutty for a sufficient amount of time. I said 6.
4.5.
Was it 5.5 actually?
You're right. I did 5.5.
Do you want to change that? Do you want
No. 5.5. I'll stick with 5.5. Yeah, it's, it is, he knows how to do so much so well. And then there's just always somewhere that he bobbles it, almost always. Like, I'm not in love with the Unbreakable trilogy. Pretty much. Look, The Sixth Sense was this like extraordinary film that I think he's still trying to live up to, and in my book has not.
I like Signs. Signs is like tense.
I still need to see Signs. Okay. Admittedly, that's the one I haven't watched. Okay.
I mean, Signs is wacky in the way that like all his movies are wacky, but it's got style and it's suspenseful. And
I mean, that one, the premise is that aliens show up at a planet that's mostly water and don't consider that's going to be a problem for them. Right? Is that Anyway,
I don't want to give anything away for you.
Okay, I'll watch it sometime and we'll get back to you on that.
All right. So our number is a 5.8. I believe that old is what? Theatrical?
It's Universal, so it's exclusively in theaters during a 45-day window. Is that what they worked out with?
Or are they 17? Who is 17 days?
Maybe
it's Universal.
I can't keep track. Anyway, it's currently in theaters, but it'll be streaming before you know it.
if indeed you would like to spend time with them, because time is important in old.
And it passes more quickly than you could ever imagine. All right. Thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out at BeFast All Day on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And why not look up our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. This week, we begin our season 2 recap of Ted Lasso, which I got Christy to watch. I'm very excited about that. And coming up next week, our monthly Off the Menu, our subscribers voted for which Richard Donner movie they wanted us to review, and we'll be talking about his cut of Superman 2. So this is all things you want to be a part of, exclusively to our Patreon members. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.